Could it be? With me, your man, Louis T. Welcome to the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your Commander in Chief, Louis T. Thank you for joining me. So, the Washington Commanders have made another signing. And this one gets the Louis T. Network or the Louis T. stamp of approval. Boop! I really like this signing. It's a depth signing, but it's a quality depth signing. And it's a young linebacker that I think still has good football left in him. Michael Walker, former Falcons linebacker, a surprise cut last year, which I was really baffled by, but it makes sense. Again, you get a new defensive coordinator in there. He was coming off of the best season of his career in 2022. Again, we talk about the ties to the staff and making it make sense. Obviously, this is a Dan Quinn signing right here. This is a guy that he drafted as a rookie. Liked him a lot. Still likes him, obviously. Thinks he can play. I think he can play. Again, I was shocked when the Falcons cut him. You know, we were sizing up linebackers, and he was one of the guys I was sizing up a while back. And he gets cut at the end of the 2023 training camp by the Falcons because they had a new defensive coordinator, and he didn't fit. And we see that all the time, right? Where a new coordinator comes in. Same thing happened to Jeremy Chin, right? New defensive coordinator comes in, doesn't, really love that guy fitting in his scheme, and you see your playing time decrease. They just cut him. They had other guys. They had acquired more depth already. They drafted some players, and he became a casualty of that. So this guy can play. The Steelers picked him up during the season, activated him. He played well, had an interception for him. Like I said, I like Michael Walker. And there have been a lot of things that he's done throughout his career where I've looked and said, we could use a linebacker like him. And I remember watching him and Foye Oluokun play next to each other thinking, hey, we could do some things with, that. So this is one of those depth signings. It's a one-year deal. Again, what you're going to get this time of the year. But it's another one of those one-year deals that could turn into, hey, he played well for us on special teams in a backup capacity. And, yeah, we brought him back on another one-year deal next year, or we signed him to a two-year deal next year, and, not going to cost you a ton of money. He's one of those dudes that I look at and I say, hey, he might be back next year, right? We'll see how this works out. He could not make this team in camp, obviously, but we still aren't super deep at linebacker. You still need linebackers, and you're going to probably keep 4, maybe 5 linebackers on the roster. And I told you this is one of those years where every roster spot is essentially open, stands for those core base guys. Everything's up for grabs. So when I look at the linebacker position, they kept none of the linebackers, similar to defensive end, they kept none of the dudes from last year. They kept none of the linebackers from last year outside of Jamin Davis. None of those dudes, which is what they should have done, rightfully so. The linebacker position sucked last year, the year before that, and the year before that. So they're doing the right thing at linebacker, completely throwing the position in the garbage and starting anew outside of Jamin Davis. And Davis is on a one-year deal himself because I contend that they won't pick up the 5th-year option. They could fool me and pick it up, but the likelihood is they're not going to pick it up. They didn't draft him, and they're not going to spend the kind of money that Jamin Davis is going to get in picking up that 5th-year option. So, again, they need more linebacker depth. They add another guy. We already had added Anthony Pittman as a special teams player, but he's just a special teams player. Michael Walker can actually play for you on defense if need be. And so I love this signing. This is more than just a special teams Noah Igbenogany, James Pierre, Anthony Pittman type signing. This is a guy that can actually play defensive snaps for you, and you can get quality ball out of him. I'm not telling you that he's starting over any of the guys that we currently have, because he's not. But if somebody were to go down, you could insert Michael Walker and you can still have quality football being played at the linebacker position. I still don't think this stops them from drafting a linebacker. Should they like one in the draft and they're sitting in a position where it makes sense, that's still on the table. But I always felt like linebacker was one of those positions that they were going to push all the way back to the end of the draft. And if they took one, it'd be, in the 7th round, 6th or 7th round. We don't have a 6th round pick currently, but, you could move some things around and end up with some 6th rounders. I'd rather have 6th rounders than 7th rounders, but that's nor here nor there. At the end of the day, he's a guy that doesn't stop you from taking a linebacker either. Most of the guys that they've signed don't preclude you from taking a player at that position, but he's a guy that you feel good about if you don't take a player at that position. Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys have seen that Washington is now up to 10 official 30 visits, right? So 10 of their 30 official visits have been used up, and it's pretty even. It's hard to really get a read. They're doing a good job of kind of spreading it out, right? You've got 2 tackles that they've met with. You've got 2 defensive ends that they've met with. They've met with 2 quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix Jr. They've met with 2 corners, Elijah Jones and of Boston College and Cam Hart of Notre Dame. And they've met with a linebacker, Trevin Wallace from Kentucky, and a tight end, Jatavion Sanders. I've talked about that already. So, and we talked about the 2 tackles already as well. Jordan Morgan of Arizona and Kieran Omegadeji of Yale. So they've kept it pretty, even, right? 2 edge rushers, and the most notable name there is Marshawn Nealon, a guy that's rising up draft board. You can see how this is going, right? They're keeping it kind of, hush hush with. They're not giving any tells. They've done everything really well to this point, and even the official visits don't really give you a real sense of what direction they're heading in or what we can expect yet. As those numbers continue to climb, we get up to 15 and then 20. I think we'll get a better sense and feel of what they're kind of looking at, but maybe we won't. Maybe they'll keep it 3-3-3-3 and 2-1 and 2. Like, I don't know. But another sidebar conversation while we're here. We talked about offensive lineman Sam Cosmi, designation online being tackle. And we got, I told you I still think he's a guard, and until they move him to guard, I'll be shocked to tackle. I'll be shocked because he played so well at guard. Why would you disrupt that? It doesn't make any sense. Well, I looked at I told you I don't know why I obsess over this, and I keep looking at this stuff because the team isn't really in charge of this. Somebody's running the Washington Commanders website. Somebody that works for the team but they're not in these meetings. They don't know anything. They're just doing this stuff because they don't even have some of the players that we signed listed on the roster. Like, I went up there the other day and they're starting to put the guys that they signed in there, and they put most of them in there, but Dante Fowler Jr. or not Dante Fowler Jr. Dorrance Armstrong isn't even up there. Neither is running back Austin Eckler. So you can't go off of that. And Cosmi's now listed as a guard again. So don't feed into that. Don't read too much. Cosmi's a guard until otherwise notified. Just know that, okay? And they still have Wiley listed as a tackle guard. He can't be our starting tackle, and I don't think he will be. But don't obsess over that stuff like I do, because what I'm realizing, and I have to continue to remind myself of, is they don't really, have when they tell us, hey, these unofficial depth charts are like put out by the team, but it's not like super serious, and we obsess about it anyway. That's kind of how I feel about the rosters and looking at the designations of the players. I don't think like Dan Quinn is like, make sure you put that he's a, guard on the website. I don't think they're doing that, right? They're just having these guys list them, and it is what it is. I think it's more important on draft day when they announce the player that they're selecting, what position they announce him as. I think that's way more important than what they're listed as on the team website. Just so you know. I think Cosmi's playing guard. So I think we've got one of our starting tackles already on the roster, and I think we're going to draft another one of the starting tackles. That's my personal opinion. It could be wrong. We'll see what happens. But anyway, overarching theme, moral of the story is I love the signing of Michael Walker. He's going to fit in here great. And I don't think he's just a linebacker depth signing that is more geared towards special teams. This guy can actually help us if he needs to on the defensive side of football. Really like this signing. What says you? Leave it down in the comment section. 1-year deal for Michael Walker here with the Commanders as they continue to fill out this roster. That's going to do it for me, your man Louis T, here on the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys next time. Until then, you guys take care. Have a good one.